Hello viewers, welcome to Home Cooking. I am Kalpana. Today I am going to show you how to cook bitter gourd in three different ways. Not many people like to eat them because of the bitterness. It's actually good for us. It's very good for diabetic people. I am making three different ways. First one is a dry one. It's like a snack, dry and crispy one. My second dish is a side dish for sambar rice, and the third one is a semi gravy. You can have it with rice. So please join me. Let's start cooking. To make bitter gourd fry, you need bitter gourds. They look like this. I'm just cutting the edges, and then I'm going to cut them into round pieces like this. Inside the bitter gourd, there is some seeds like this. If the seeds are too thick, just remove them. Now, if the seeds are not too thick, you just leave it as it is. Just cut them into round pieces. We've cut them into round pieces. We also need coriander powder, chilli powder, turmeric powder, garam masala powder, besan flour, rice flour, and some amchur powder. So to that I'm going to add some salt, followed by the all the dry powders. I'm just adding in the powders now. I'm also adding in the besan and the rice flour, followed by the amchur powder, and just going to mix them well. Since we have added all the dry powders, it's not mixing well, so I'm just sprinkling some water so that all the powder will mix well with the vegetable. Still it's very dry, so I'm sprinkling some more water so that the powder mixes well with the water and then give a nice coating to the vegetable. Then when we fry, it will give a nice crispness to the vegetable. So I'm adding some more water so that they will mix well, and just gonna leave it for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm just gonna fry them. I've added 2 tablespoons of oil. To that I'm adding in the marinated pieces in a single layer. Just fry them for 3 minutes on each side. One side is done, so I'm just flipping them so that the other side also will fry nicely. I want them to be crispy, so just gently flip them so that they will fry on the other side also. After they've turned crispy, I'm just removing them. See, it has not absorbed much oil also. Since we've added the rice flour, it's nice and dry and crispy. So I'm just removing them, and our first dish is ready. For our second dish, I'm cutting the bitter gourd into half. See, inside it has got so many seeds and they are thick, so we don't need them. I'm just scooping out all the seeds, and then I'm just going to cut them into small pieces like this so that they will cook very fast. I'm just cutting them. So once I finish cutting them, I'll show you the ingredients. I've cut the bitter gourds into small pieces, so that's ready. We need tomato, coriander, chili powder, turmeric powder, curry leaves, onions, mustard seeds, urad dal, cumin seeds, little bit of jaggery, salt and oil. The oil is hot now. To that I'm adding in mustard seeds, urad dal, and a very little amount of cumin seeds. Just going to fry them until the mustard seed starts to crackle and the urad dal is getting brown. Now I'm adding in the onions and the curry leaves. Just going to saute them for 3 minutes until the onions are slightly brown. Just saute them well for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, the onions are brown now. I'm just adding in the cut pieces of bitter gourds. I'm just going to saute them well. I want the bitter gourds to cook halfway. I'm just adding in the turmeric powder, followed by the coriander and the chilli powder. I'm adding some salt also. Sorry, forgot to mention about the salt. I've added the salt also. Just cook them partially before adding the tomatoes. The mixture is too dry. Instead of adding oil, I'm just adding in some water so that the vegetable will cook nicely. Just stir them well. Since we have added very little amount of water, it has evaporated well. Now I'm adding in the tomatoes. Just cook for another 2 minutes. It's almost done now. I'm adding little amount of jaggery to cut the bitterness and just stir them, and our second dish is also ready. For our third dish, also I'm cutting the bitter gourd. I'm just removing the seeds like we did it for our previous dish, and I'm just cutting them into thin strips like this. If you want, you can cut them into round pieces like we did it for the first dish. It's up to you. I just wanted to be different for this dish, so I'm just cutting them into small strips like this. Once I finish cutting them, I'll show you. I've cut the bitter gourds into thin strips like this. So the cut pieces are ready. We need garlic, tomato, onions into thin strips also. We need sambar powder, turmeric powder. I took very little amount of tamarind and then I extracted the juice from it. So that's ready. We need little bit of jaggery, fenugreek, mustard seeds, cumin seeds, salt and oil. I've added 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. To that I'm adding in the mustard seeds, followed by the fenugreek. Half teaspoon will do. Now I'm adding in the cumin seeds. Once they start to crackle, add in the sliced onions. I want the onions to saute nicely for 3 minutes. I'm also going to add in the curry leaves. Just saute them well. This is a semi gravy. You can have it with rice. So just saute well. The onions are brown now. Now I'm adding in the garlic. Saute for another 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I'm adding in the bitter gourds, followed by the turmeric powder. Just mix them well. If you want, you can add some more oil also, because this gravy tastes well with oil. So you can add a tablespoon of oil at this point. I'm also adding in some oil because it's really dry. So once I add in the oil, I'm just sauteing well. Now I'm adding in the sambar powder. If you don't have sambar powder, it's fine. You can add 1 teaspoon of chilli powder to 1 tablespoon of coriander powder. If you want a little bit spicy, you can add even more chilli powder also. It's up to you. So I'm just mixing all the ingredients well. I'm adding in some salt also at this point. Once I add in the salt, saute well. Now I'm adding in the sliced tomatoes. Once you add in the tomatoes, just mix them. See, we've added oil, but still it's very dry. So if you want, you can add even more oil. I don't like to add the oil, so I'm just going to add very little amount of water. Once the vegetable has cooked halfway through, I'm going to add in some tamarind water. I'm using the fresh new tamarind, that's why the color is lighter. If you use the old tamarind, which is the black color, the gravy will be slightly darker. Just wanted to mention this. So I'm just going to mix it well and let it cook for 30 minutes. After 20 minutes, the gravy has thickened nicely. So I'm just mixing it. Now I'm going to add in some jaggery to cut the bitterness. Once you add in the jaggery, just mix it well for just 2 to 3 minutes, and then the semi gravy is ready. Thank you so much for watching.